Hello and welcome. I'm here with the lead water filtration expert at IntegriPure Newcastle and the host of the documentary Newcastles Tap Water. And we're also here with John. He was the producer of this documentary and also the lead researcher. This is all with the chlorine and all the chemicals. This is keeping the water coming out of the plant to a SANS 241 standard. Now, what the SANS 241 standard in the documentary, it said it's not necessarily made to ensure for human consumption. It's just what
the specific. You can help me. I'm trying to get back to my script here. But the water by the SANS 241 standard doesn't put a human at immediate significant risk.
Yeah. So the specific wording says something along the lines of it prevents significant risk over the lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the problem for me with that is that's incredibly vague. What is significant risk, and what does it mean over my lifetime? Does that mean that it can slowly deteriorate my health, and as long as it doesn't kill me before I'm 80? I don't know. I have no idea what that sentence means, but it doesn't give me confidence. Yeah. And that's something that we're all about at IntegriPure, right? Is we're about confidence. We want somebody to take water and put it in their mouth and know for a fact that that water is doing good for their body. And SANS 241 doesn't promise that. In its own definition, it doesn't promise you confidence. It promises you not significant risk over your lifetime. And something I want to mention, and this is kind of obvious, but some of our viewers might not know this, is that the SANS 241 is specifically a South African standard. It's our standard that we've put in place. It's what our government has sat down and said, we think this is good. Now, to be fair, in the documentation, they do reference the World Health Organization on certain points. And they're like, oh, we wanted to stay within the World Health Organization on this point and on that point. Now, I'm not an expert enough to understand all the nuance that goes on in a document like that. But it's important for us to know that that standard is our standard, and the people who determine what it is and determine the revisions that are being made is the South African government. And it was revised in 2015, and I think you told me this information, that one of the things that's changed over the revisions is the NTUs?
The TDS.
TDS, thank you. That's why you're here. Tell us a bit about that.
So I think it was in 2005, the 2002 or 2005 revision. What I could find is it accounted for a TDS reading, that's total dissolved solid, so anything that's soluble inside the water, which is not H2O. It was at 1,200 parts per million. However, there was we'd call it a recommendation, which the World Health Organization also promotes, of keeping it below 500. So having 500 as the max, but if all goes to hell, let's just keep it under 1.2.
Yeah.
And that 500 has totally dropped. So to be fair, to stand up for Newcastle's quality of water, the TDS is still below 500.
Absolutely.
It's sitting in that report at 223. I hope I have it correct. But you'll post that and people can call me. Yeah. Sitting at 223. Good to note also, when we started working on Newcastle's water in about 9 years ago, the TDS was running at about 80 to 90, sometimes 95, because it's something we constantly monitored for that specific filtration that we did back then. It was running to about 95. So coming up from, in 9 years, a while back we did some checks and it was sitting at about 170. Currently it's on that report 223. So it seems like we're going backwards from, I haven't tested all the water, but there seems to be a trend.
So what you're saying is it seems like that 1,200 is more a target for Newcastle. than a limit. It's like they're trying to see how close they can get. No, I'm just kidding.
He's sitting at a 220 out of 1,200. This is not good, guys.
Yeah, we're not doing well enough anyway.
Yeah, but
kidding.
we did give Newcastle municipality in the documentary a round of applause because they are the water that we tasted on that day was well within the SANS 241 standard. Which is actually I was impressed by how much. Well, I just wanted to. This reminds me of something. I read the analysis reports from Utukela, where they test the water at the treatment plant, and it wasn't, to say the least, comprehensive. Basically, just saying, yes, the water is okay.
Within the SANS 241.
So we have no idea by how much or so it's just saying, is it meeting these standards? Yes.
Yeah, I actually can't tell you how much that frustrates me. It's such an annoying way of reporting because basically what they're saying, and I think it's an important thing for Newcastle's community to know this and South Africa's community to know this because, look, I understand these guys have a massive job, right? They've got an incredible job to do. It's massive. It's bigger than we could ever do. And we're grateful for them. And I think that's part of the heart of what we wanted to try and get across as well in the documentary is we need them to do their job.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do their job, it makes our job so much more difficult. But what's frustrating for me is the way they report is so skewed, it's so biased to make them look good, and it actually doesn't give us information. So if I understand correctly, the way they basically do it is they say, well, we took 100 samples, and of those 100 samples, X amount of those samples met the standard that's needed, right? So if we took 100 samples and 90 of them fell within the standard, we get a 90%. We have no idea that 10%, we have no idea how bad those 10% were. We don't know how far out of the limits they were. How much E. coli was in them, we don't know. We just know they had some E. coli in them and they didn't pass the standard. Sure. But that's frustrating because you're literally just reporting on what's good. You're literally just saying 87% was good. Okay, but how bad was the other bad?
Yeah.
Because you're not you're not comparing apples and apples. It's very frustrating as a person who wants to know what's going on with our water, you know.
Apologies for trying to one-up you here, not my intention. But we said we don't know how bad that 10% is. But we have no idea how bad that 90 was. The 90%, because it fell within the standard. But looking at those standards, as we said, the TDS can go up to 1,200. So if it was sitting at 190, 1,190,
it would get a 100% thumbs up basically. So if 100% of the samples sat just within the standard, we'd get 100% compliance with the SANS 241, which again is water that you can drink. Something we said we want to say is we're going to put this out in the socials at some point, but it's better than dying, you know. It's something you can drink, but it's not great water. It's really not great. This is water that the World Health Organization would kind of give the thumbs up to if things have hit the fan, right? And I'm saying this tongue in cheek because the World Health Organization has no care or opinion on the SANS 241. I mean, they do, but I haven't found any comment on it from the World Health Organization. They haven't said like, oh, we approve the SANS 241. But what I'm saying is, this is the quality of water across South Africa, across the board, from your rural areas to the middle of your cities. This is the standard. It's that and nothing else. And if they get 100% compliance, it doesn't tell you how much compliant. It just says it's 100% compliant. So anyway.
I'm David, fellow director at Integrity Pure Newcastle, and that's us.